Hello, Carole. What have you got for us this week?
Well, a novel that's causing a great stir in America at the moment.
Always a good thing in the literary world.
It is. It's called The Flamethrowers by Rachel Kushner, who's a young American writer. And it's causing a great stir. It's quite a macho novel, and there's a lot of stuff being thrown about. Critics are raving about it. There's quite a bit of controversy. People are saying, is it possible that the great American novel could be written by a woman? As you said, what an astonishing concept. A woman that good at writing. I was uncomfortable with this novel in lots of ways. It's not a novel I can say I enjoyed. It's fascinating.
You hardly ever say that. That's interesting.
Well, enjoyed is not the right word. It's too gentle a word for this. It's quite disturbing. It's set both in New York and in Italy in the 1970s. So a lot of political unrest in Italy in the 1970s. This young woman is a motorcycle rider, and she is the narrator and the main protagonist. She's called Reno. It's not her real name. She actually comes from Reno in the States, and she gets nicknamed Reno at the very beginning of the book, and she's just Reno for the whole book. And she has got herself involved with Sandro Valero, who is an Italian, an artist in New York. So it's the New York art scene in the 1970s. She is a photographer, and she rides motorcycles, and he comes from a motorcycle manufacturing company in a very famous Italian family who also manufacture tyres and making a fortune out of rubber and ripping everybody off. And I mean, it's quite nasty, a lot of what goes on. I mean, there's drugs, there's sex, there's risk, there's danger, there's people lying, and there's fraud, there's, you know.
I suppose Italian history has been full of that, really, hasn't it? Yes.
So she does end up, she wants to take photographs of the patterns left behind on the salt flats when she's ridden her motorbike very fast, and she actually ends up breaking the world land speed record for women. So she's the fastest woman on Earth, which is wonderful. I mean, she's a very spunky young woman, but you also have the sense of her being used and manipulated by some of these rather ghastly men. Sandro appears to be a loving partner. He's a lot older. He's very dissociated from his family, doesn't want to have anything to do with them. He's an artist. But she ends up going back to Italy because she broke the land speed record for women. They want to use her to promote the motorcycles in the firm in Italy. So she goes back to Italy and ends up with his extraordinary older mother in there's some amazing scenes and back in the big family home. The mother's awful to her. And yeah, there's a wonderful, very vivid scene that stayed with me where she goes to Rome. She leaves and goes to Rome and gets caught up in a demonstration in Rome. And there's the writing is very good. I mean, it's very vivid. The description of this incredible demonstration with tear gas and bullets and buses being turned over and set fire, and quite scary, quite terrifying to read. And she's caught up in the middle of it. So it's very vivid, but somehow you're left with this sense of people don't have ethics. People, you know, it's quite disturbing, but it's,
But for
intriguing.
all of that, can it draw you in to want to know what happens when you get to the end?
Yes, it does.
Yes.
But at the same time, I kept thinking, I want to put this book down. I want to put this book down. But
it sort of sounds like although it's 70s, it sounds a bit like a lot of the 21st century too.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Sounds
Intriguing.
really interesting.